Glad to have you here the weekend before Thanksgiving, before things get a little crazy all across the Illini landscape. Larry Smith, Brad Sturdy, Mike Cagley, glad you're here. Hey, coming up in a bit, we've got Dion Thomas, the all-time leading scorer, and of course, part of the Illini radio network for the basketball color commentator, sitting alongside our friend Brian Barnhart. Dion's going to join us here in just a bit to talk about this Illini team coming off that tough loss in Chicago. Also, Mike, is there an award-winning series yet? Eye on the Illini podcast. Have we won any awards on that yet?
I can give him an award.
Okay.
Does that count?
Yeah, that counts.
All right, cool. Then you're an award-winning show now, Mike.
There you go.
I've got more hair than most of the Illini credentialed media, so I'm winning a hairline award.
Okay. So there it is. The Hairline Award-winning podcast, Eye on the Illini, Mike Cagley, for getting on Lance Allen to talk about these Wisconsin Badgers, this football team. And we'll have part of that conversation for you as well, because it's all about getting ready for the weekend. But fellas, first, let's reflect for a moment. It's a Illini basketball team right now suffering their first loss after 4 wins, 90-86 against Alabama and Chicago. Brad, you were there courtside, and watching this game, I thought, listen, was this Illinois' best effort? No. And yet they still had a chance to win it right there at the end, despite the mistakes they made and despite having some key players clearly not up to 100% health-wise.
Yeah, when you think about the fact that they just made free throws at a normal clip, it's probably a tie game. If they had, Thomas Slavicevic is clearly not 100%. I mean, I don't know if he's 50%. Mahalo Petrovic is struggling. He played well for stretches, but then you could see at the end he's struggling. It was first time Keaton Wagler or David Mirkovic have seen that level of quickness and athleticism. That's probably the quickest team they will see all season in Alabama. And yet at the end, you look and they get a chance. I mean, they had the ball down 3. They had a couple of shots there. There was one stretch I thought was key when they had a wide open 3 to take the lead. Would have stemmed the tide and changed momentum. Instead, they miss. Alabama comes down, hits 3 in transition. The lead goes from 2 to 5. It was just like that the whole game in the second half. And so, but I thought they showed they can compete with anybody. And now they got to go out and play a little better for 40 minutes. And if that happens, we'll see.
I think the other thing is so much of this things that happened or things that are correctable. You have to make free throws. You can't go into the lane and get a lane violation. You have to get a stop towards the end of the game. All these things are things that Underwood can work on. You need to go up and down the court and watch out for the fast break coming at you. If there were things that you couldn't work on, and then I would be much more concerned. But all these things are things that you can work on. And now that you've got a loss, coach can be a little bit more emphatic in his explanations.
Yeah, that's certainly fair. Mahalo Petrovic, as you mentioned, the point guard from Serbia getting his first action. He's been battling a hamstring injury now for several weeks. And Brad, you mentioned it bothered him, but yet again, he led the team in assists with 5 and only 12 minutes on the court. I saw those numbers right away. Stepped up, hit a 3, the only shot he attempted when he first came into the game. There's a lot to like about this player, and I'm looking at him. Tomislav, once he gets his legs under him, obviously Andrei Stojakovic improves every game with he starts to get his lungs together after weeks of being inactive as well. And you see the pieces here where it's like this could be a dangerous, very dangerous team.
Yeah, I thought Nate Oates, saying they have a chance to win the national title, it kind of went through. He thinks that they're going to compete for it. And you heard Andrei Stojakovic post-game say the same, that's their goal. And Brad Underwood told him, good answer. So, I think the expectations are still really high. They feel really good. The one thing, in talking to Brad a little bit, and the assistant coaches, was they don't even know how good they are because they haven't seen the whole team together playing and healthy. I think they'll find out more as they get through these next couple weeks and get healthy heading into the Big Ten season.
And I would even think the language barrier probably at times is a little bit challenging, as guys start figuring out accents, et cetera, as things get emotional out there. And I also think the guys coming from Europe are going to take a little bit of time to get used to the athleticism that you see in the NCAA, because you just don't see that type of athlete day in and day out in Europe. So there's a lot of adjustment. There's a lot of reason to be really, really optimistic about Illinois. The biggest concern I have is how injury rehab goes and how quickly guys get back to 100%.
Yeah. Well, now, as you said, we're now everyone except for Ty Rogers off the injured list, at least unless something changes here. Game coming up, couple of games to kind of work on some things fundamentally. Long Island coming in on Saturday, and then it is a Texas Rio Grande Valley coming in, a team we've seen before come in on Monday before you go to New York. And on Black Friday, early game, you take on UConn, which ironically on FS1 Wednesday night lost to Arizona at home in another thrilling game right before that, number 3 versus number 4. And I think that's a thing, maybe that's the first game where Tomislav's had a full week of practice. Andre gets a little better. Hopefully Petrovic can work on this hamstring, and maybe this could be the first time we see everyone together. And again, for the freshmen, Wagler and Merkovich, maybe they're not quite the deer in headlights in terms of, playing in an NBA arena on that kind of stage.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be a huge test. I also think they're going to be better equipped to handle that challenge at that point. Don't forget about Brandon Lee as well. These the two games, the games Saturday and Monday, are really important for getting some minutes, getting Tomislav some minutes, getting him on the floor, getting Brandon Lee some minutes, getting him out on the court, getting Petrovic on the court. So those are things that they're able to do in a couple of games that obviously they should win and are going to be heavily favored. Then you go into that UConn Tennessee stretch, and those are going to be tough games, but they're games that they legit will have a chance to win. And, we'll just have to see how well they play. But I think if they make free throws, they shoot the ball a little better, they're going to win those games. But that's easy to say. It's harder to do.
Yeah, they've got a tough schedule in front of them, yet that's what you need if you're going to go on a roll in late March and early April. I look forward to seeing how this team moves forward. And I also like the idea that you're going to be in a situation where you're not playing a couple games a week, which I think this team needs a little bit of time just for good old fashioned healing.
Yeah. By the way, the Illinois basketball program has never beaten 2 ranked teams in the month of November, but they have a chance next Friday against UConn. Let's turn now to football. Illinois right now coming in number 21 in the college football rankings of this week. That's nice. Probably not going to make the playoff, but still nice to get that kind of recognition. At Wisconsin, of course, the storyline, Brett Bielema, longtime head coach there with the Badgers, but has done well against his former team since Illinois has been there. But guys, so much for Illinois to play for right now. Final road game of the season. And again, you get a couple of wins and you put together back-to-back 9-win campaigns for the first time in Illinois history.
It's interesting. If they, I know they're not going to make the playoff. I mean, I guess there is an outside, some crazy stuff could happen. I mean, maybe Samford upsets Texas A&M. That vaunted SEC schedule is tough this week. But anyway, but if they, but it's possible they get in the top 15. Yeah, if they win these next 2 games, 9-3, move up, be in that top 15. That's pretty cool. I mean, it goes to show you they're on the cusp of being right there, where you look at like when the playoff expands to 14 or 16 teams, they're right on that bubble, and so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that kind of got to give us some hope that this program can be a team that competes and gets into that bracket.
It's going to be interesting to see how things go when you look at it after Luke Altmaier, because he has been such a solid piece of foundation that the team can build around. And it's really strange, but as you think about it, we've really only got 3 games left to really appreciate what he can do. And he stands up there with guys like Kurt Kittner and Tony Eason and, all the guys, Jeff George, Jack Trudeau. You can go through a list of them, and he's taken his place as one of the top Illini quarterbacks of all time. And we really need to appreciate that.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Northwest coming in next week. I think, too, looking through some of the records here very quickly, and I don't think that Illinois has finished in the final AP top 25 in back-to-back years since the Makovic era, 89 and 90, Jeff George and those guys. And so, again, we talk about culture and building and all that. We'll take a look here once it's all said and done. But I think, again, there will only be a handful of teams here in this era that will have back-to-back 10-win seasons. And yet Illinois, if they get these last 2 wins and a win in a bowl game, they've got a chance to do that, put themselves among the top 10, 12 teams right now in the country that have had that kind of success.
Yeah, it would be really nice. And I really, obviously their schedule is very good, conducive to having a good ending. And a lot of those teams ahead of them, I look at these rankings, a lot of these teams ahead of them have really difficult matchups, whether it's Texas or Michigan, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, USC, all these things. They have really tough teams. And, if USC does lose to Oregon, they have same record and Illinois beat them head to head. So you start looking at these things and saying, all right, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe they get up and I think that winning out gets you like a nice New Year's Day bowl in a warm climate, which is always a good thing.
Yeah. And it's just so much fun to actually be getting close to Thanksgiving, and Illinois still is relevant on a national basis in football. That's so different than what we were used to pre-Bielema. And I think that is really a testament to the change that he has done. And you got to give Josh Whitman a little credit there as well. This was a program that was about as down as you could get, and they've really turned the fortunes around in a relatively short time. And if it wasn't for Curt Cignetti, people would be going, oh, look at Brett Bielema.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. We were talking just amongst ourselves here during the week, and a fun fact about Illinois football in November. There's a great piece Matt Stevens has about Illinois winning ugly in November. In the 30 years, 1990 to 2020, Illinois had a winning percentage of about 36% in November. In the Brett Bielema era, that's up to about 59%. It's that's the thing that, Illinois fans are used to. The team, no matter what they did early in the season, November was never kind to Illinois football, ever, just was not. But now you've got a chance with a win this week or next week against Northwestern. It's pretty impressive in terms of what they will do. Illinois would have its first back-to-back winning Novembers since 1988 and 89. I mean, that's just where we are right now in terms of the culture on this team. Pretty impressive. All right, stay with us. Much more about this Illinois-Wisconsin matchup coming up. It's a primetime matchup Saturday night from Camp Randall Stadium in Madison. Lance Allen, our friend, a longtime sportscaster from Milwaukee, joins Mike on the Illini podcast. We'll hear that part of that conversation. And then still ahead, Deon Thomas joining us as well. The Illini legend, talking about this basketball team. How good can they be, and his takeaway after the game in Chicago. Just getting started here on the IlliniGuys Radio Network.